The Forgotten Legend. The ancient texts call them Terrans, but most species knew them simply as humans. For centuries, their existence had been relegated to myth, stories told to frighten younglings or entertain patrons in the dingy bars that dotted the galactic frontier. No one truly believed humans had ever existed, much less ruled the stars. Zaltorix, senior archivist of the Galactic Historical Society, had dedicated his career to studying these myths. His colleagues mocked him relentlessly for it. Searching for humans is like chasing starlight with a net, they would say. But Zaltorix was convinced there was truth behind the legends. The stories all shared common elements. A species from a blue-green world who expanded rapidly across the stars, building an empire through diplomacy and warfare. They were described as adaptable, unpredictable, and terrifyingly effective when provoked. Then, without explanation, they vanished from galactic records approximately 3,000 cycles ago. Archivist Zaltorix, "You have an urgent transmission," announced his assistant, interrupting his thoughts. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing Admiral Kreenar of the Galactic Survey Corps, her scaled face tense with excitement or fear. It was often difficult to distinguish between the two with draconian expressions. "Archivist, my survey team has detected something unusual, a signal emanating from the dead zone." Zaltorix felt his four hearts quicken. The dead zone was a vast region of space avoided by all intelligent species. Ancient warnings marked it as forbidden territory, though no one remembered why. "What kind of signal?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Unknown format, but definitely artificial. And old. Very old. The encryption patterns match fragments we found in ancient ruins. The ones you've connected to, human artifacts." 3 days later, Zaltorix found himself aboard the research vessel Indomitable Truth, staring out at the blackness of the dead zone. The ship's crew, a mixture of the most prominent species in the Galactic Union, worked with quiet efficiency, though Zaltorix could sense their unease. "We're approaching the signal source," announced Captain Velmach, his tentacles twitching nervously. Sensors detect a structure ahead. The view screen illuminated, revealing an enormous space station, its design unlike anything in modern galactic architecture. It hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, its surface scarred by millennia of micrometeorite impacts. "It's been here for thousands of cycles," whispered Science Officer Tekla, her crystalline form shimmering with excitement. "Yet our scans indicate dormant power systems." The exploration team, equipped with the most advanced protective gear the Union could provide, transported to the station. Zaltorix insisted on joining them, despite the captain's protests. The station's interior was a maze of darkened corridors and sealed chambers. Emergency lighting activated as they moved deeper inside, responding to their presence. The air was stale but breathable, preserved by ancient environmental systems that somehow still functioned. "These markings," Zaltorix said, examining symbols etched into a bulkhead. "They match the fragments in our archives. This is human writing." The team reached a central chamber, dominated by a massive control console. As they approached, the systems began to activate, displays illuminating with unfamiliar symbols. "It's responding to our presence," Tekla noted, her sensors scanning frantically. But how? After all this time? The answer came in a flood of light as a holographic interface materialized before them. A figure took shape, bipedal, with 2 arms, a single head, and no visible exoskeletal features. The hologram's appearance matched perfectly with the ancient descriptions of humans. "Welcome to Outpost Sentinel," the hologram announced in flawless galactic standard. "I am ARIA, Autonomous Reconnaissance and Intelligence Assistant, caretaker of this facility. State your authorization." Stunned silence followed until Zaltorix stepped forward. "We have no authorization. We are representatives of the Galactic Union, investigating a signal emanating from this station." The hologram's expression remained neutral. No recognized authority detected. "Initiating first contact protocols." The hologram's eyes seemed to scan each member of the team. Species identification complete. No humans present. Interesting. The humans. Zaltorix began, his voice trembling with excitement. They were real. Where are they now? That information is classified, Araya responded. However, I am authorized to inform you that this station has been in dormant mode for 2,947 standard years, awaiting either human contact or evidence of significant galactic threat. What triggered your reactivation? Asked Tekla. The emergence of void entities in proximity to protected space. My sensors detected their incursion 3 local months ago. As per Protocol 37, I initiated the recall signal. Admiral Krienar pushed forward. Void entities. What are those? Extradimensional predators. They enter our universe through tiers in space-time and consume all forms of matter and energy. The human fleet encountered them 3,000 years ago and established containment protocols. And the signal we detected? Zaltorix asked. A recall command. The human fleet never truly left. They retreated to secure space to rebuild and prepare. The implications hung heavy in the air. A mythical species had not only existed, but had been protecting the galaxy from threats beyond comprehension. Prepare for what? Velmok asked. The hologram's expression darkened. War. The final conflict with the void. According to my calculations, the human fleet should arrive within 7 standard days. As if on cue, the station's sensors activated, displaying a massive energy signature approaching from outside charted space. The readings were off the scale, indicating thousands of vessels, a fleet of unprecedented size. The humans are returning, Araya announced with what almost seemed like pride. And they will not be alone. Word spread quickly across the Galactic Union. Reports of the ancient station and its AI caretaker reached the Galactic Council, causing immediate panic. Emergency sessions were called, military assets mobilized. High Chancellor Drav of the Minbari Dominion, the most powerful faction in the Union, addressed the gathered representatives. These humans are nothing but a myth, and this station is likely an elaborate hoax. Nevertheless, we must investigate this alleged fleet and determine if it represents a threat. But doubt had taken root. Ancient records were re-examined, revealing references to humanity scattered throughout the histories of a dozen species. Archaeological findings previously dismissed as anomalies suddenly formed a pattern. Evidence of a civilization that had once spanned a significant portion of the galaxy. 5 days after the discovery of the station, long-range sensors detected movement at the edge of the dead zone. Thousands of vessels emerged from what appeared to be a spatial distortion, their design unlike anything known to current galactic engineering. At the head of this armada was a massive vessel, dwarfing even the largest dreadnoughts in the Union fleet. As it approached Union space, a transmission was broadcast on all frequencies, in all known languages. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. We have returned. The myth had become reality, and the galaxy trembled. The reckoning. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so silent. Representatives from over 300 species sat in stunned disbelief as Admiral Helena Chen's holographic form addressed them. She appeared human, just as the ancient texts described. Bipedal, with dark hair pulled back tightly and eyes that seemed to evaluate every being in the room simultaneously. For 3,000 years, the Terran Defense Fleet has held the void at bay, she explained, her voice calm yet commanding. We retreated not out of fear or weakness, but to develop the technologies necessary to permanently seal the breaches between dimensions. Now, the final battle approaches. High Chancellor Drav rose from his seat, his crystalline form catching the light. While we appreciate this history lesson, Admiral, we have no evidence of these void entities you claim threaten us. What we do see is a massive military force entering Union space without permission. Admiral Chen's expression remained impassive. The void entities cloaked their approach by manipulating perception, Your civilizations have already been infiltrated. The increase in unexplained stellar phenomena, the disappearance of outlying colonies, the psychological disorders affecting sensitive species, all signs of their presence. Science Director Tekla, who had been present at the discovery of the station, stepped forward. Our instruments have detected unusual quantum fluctuations in several sectors, consistent with the Admiral's description. Convenient, sneered Drav. I propose we demand these humans surrender their weapons and submit to Union authority. If these void entities truly exist, we are capable of addressing the threat ourselves. The Council erupted in debate. Some species advocated for cooperation with the humans, while others, particularly the militarily powerful factions, supported Drav's position. Admiral Chen waited for the commotion to subside. You misunderstand. We are not asking for permission or assistance. We are warning you to prepare your people for what comes next. With that, her hologram vanished, leaving the Council in uproar. Outside Union space, a Dravian battle group moved to intercept the human fleet. The Dravians, known for their military prowess, had dominated galactic politics for centuries. Their crystalline vessels, powered by captured neutron stars, were considered invincible. Captain Krell of the Dravian flagship Inevitable Victory addressed his crew. These humans have impressive ships, but they know nothing of modern warfare. We will demonstrate why the Dravian Imperium rules the stars. The Dravian vessels formed a blockade, their weapons charged. A communication was sent to the human fleet: surrender or be destroyed. No response came. They ignore us, Krell growled. Fire warning shots across their bow. Energy beams lanced out from the Dravian ships, intentionally missing the human vessels but demonstrating their firepower. The human fleet continued its advance, seemingly unconcerned. They mock us, Krell snarled. Target their lead vessel and fire. The combined firepower of 12 Dravian warships converged on Admiral Chen's flagship. Everyone expected devastation. Instead, the energy simply disappeared, absorbed by an invisible barrier surrounding the human vessel. Impossible, whispered Krell's tactical officer. Admiral Chen's voice came through their communication systems. That was unwise. A single human vessel, not even their largest, broke formation and accelerated toward the Dravian blockade. Before Krell could order evasive maneuvers, a pulse of energy emanated from the ship, washing over the Dravian fleet. All 12 Dravian vessels instantly lost power, their systems completely neutralized. This is Captain Marcus Rivera of the TDF Defiant, came a new voice. Your vessels have been temporarily disabled. You are not our enemy. Stand down, and no harm will come to your crews. News of the encounter spread rapidly. The most powerful military force in the Union had been neutralized without a single casualty. More importantly, the humans had shown restraint when they could have easily destroyed the Dravian ships. In emergency session, the Galactic Council was divided. High Chancellor Drav demanded immediate military action against the human invaders, while others counseled caution. Elder Zelax of the Thraxi Conclave, the oldest member of the council, spoke rarely but was always heated. I have accessed our deepest archives, the ancient being announced, his voice barely above a whisper. There are records, predating our civilization, speaking of the Guardians, a species that sacrificed their place in the galactic community to protect all sentient life from the dark between stars. I believe these humans are those Guardians. At that moment, alarms blared throughout the council chamber. View screens activated, showing disturbing images from across the galaxy. Stars were dimming, planets reporting strange atmospheric disturbances, and in the outer systems, entire colonies had gone silent. It has begun, announced Admiral Chen, her hologram reappearing. The void incursion is accelerating. We tracked their quantum signature to your galactic core. They've established a bridgehead. Sensor data confirmed her claim. Something was happening at the galaxy center, a distortion that seemed to bend both light and reality itself. What can we do? Asked Elder Zulax, the political posturing forgotten in the face of an existential threat. "Fight beside us," Chen answered simply. "Your technologies, combined with ours, might be enough." The next 24 hours saw the greatest mobilization in galactic history. The human fleet, joined by ships from every major power, formed a defensive perimeter around the galaxy's core. Admiral Chen's strategic brilliance became apparent as she organized the diverse forces into an effective fighting unit, capitalizing on each species' strengths. The void entities emerged from the distortion, massive, shifting forms that seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially elsewhere. They defied description, their appearance causing psychological distress in many species. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever witnessed. Human vessels led the charge, their advanced weapons tearing into the void entities. Union ships provided support, following Chen's precisely coordinated battle plan. Aboard the Union command ship, representatives watched in awe as human soldiers teleported directly onto affected planets, wearing armor that seemed to bend reality around them. They moved with impossible speed and coordination, closing breaches and evacuating civilians. "They're not just fighting," observed Science Director Tekla. "They're containing. Every action is precisely calculated." The truth dawned on the watching representatives. Humans hadn't evolved to dominate through conquest as many species had. They had evolved to protect. The final confrontation came at the galactic core. Admiral Chen's flagship and a squadron of specialized vessels positioned themselves around the main breach, a swirling vortex of darkness that threatened to expand exponentially. "All units, execute Protocol Omega," Chen commanded. The human ships activated devices unlike anything the Union had ever seen. They generated a field that began to compress the breach, forcing it closed despite the void entity's resistance. "Their technology is beyond anything we could have imagined," whispered High Chancellor Drav, his previous hostility forgotten in the face of such advancement. As the breach collapsed, a final wave of void entities surged through. One massive entity broke through the defensive line, heading directly for the populated systems. Without hesitation, Admiral Chen's flagship pursued, intercepting the entity before it could reach inhabited space. What followed was witnessed by every ship in the combined fleet. A single human vessel engaging an entity that could consume planets. The battle was brief but spectacular. The human ship unleashed its full arsenal, visibly damaging the void entity, but sustaining critical damage in return. As its systems failed, the ship executed one final maneuver, a controlled matter-antimatter detonation that annihilated both the entity and itself. Admiral Chen's voice came through the fleet-wide communication channel one last time. "The breach is sealed. The sacrifice of the Intrepid and her crew will not be forgotten." In the aftermath, as the human fleet helped repair the damage caused by the incursion, the galaxy's perception of humanity transformed completely. They were no longer mythical figures from ancient texts, but allies who had sacrificed everything to protect life throughout the galaxy. 1 month later, the Galactic Council convened again, this time with a human representative present. Ambassador Sarah Chen, daughter of the Admiral. "For 3,000 years, humanity has stood guard at the edges of known space," she explained. "We removed ourselves from galactic politics to focus entirely on developing the means to combat the void. Now that the immediate threat has passed, we wish to rejoin the galactic community, not as conquerors, but as partners." The Council, humbled by recent events, voted unanimously to create a new position, Guardians of the Galaxy, with humanity as its first appointees. As the formal ceremony concluded, Elder Zulax approached Ambassador Chen privately. The legends said that humans would return when they were most needed. They spoke truly. Sarah Chen smiled. The legends also said that humanity would find its true purpose among the stars. It seems they were right about that too. In the space where myth and reality converge, a new chapter in galactic history began. One where humanity's place was secured not through fear, but through the most powerful force in the universe, the will to protect others at any cost.